Sheila, welcome and thank you for joining the Parents Around the World Summit. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
And we are happy to have you because we're going to talk about something that is close to my heart, close to your heart, and it's five things children need. Big topic.
Absolutely. It's very deep. And for my expertise, I'd like to focus specifically on adolescence, if that's okay.
It is. So the floor is yours. Introduce yourself and let's speak about your topic.
Okay. My name's Sheila Wenger. I have a master's in education. I taught high school and coached volleyball for 17 years. And then I became a hypnotherapist with a background in marriage and family therapy. So all sorts of things. And I raised twins who are now 19 and off to college. So lots of experience. And my topic is, adolescence is my specialty. I focus on that with parents. And having worked with them for so long, I really can see the pitfalls that most parents fall into for no other reason than the best intent, love for their kids, and not everybody has the deep background knowledge of what every age and stage of a child needs. So everyone's trying their best. So with this insight into what tends to be the pitfalls, the first one I'll talk about is anxiety is a major topic right now. The teens that I see are often riddled with it. And so the first tip for parents about that is that they have this is and it's counterintuitive, but the first thing to do to try to reduce your teens' anxiety is to look at your own anxiety. And how are you managing your own? Not just because we model the behavior that we end up teaching our kids, but especially because if our teenagers feel that we are anxious about their future, that doesn't help because they are walking around. It's a time of so much pressure. They're trying to fit in socially. They know they're supposed to be growing into an adult. They know they're supposed to kind of have a sense of what they're supposed to do. And there's just a lot to do in a regular day to even handle everything. So if on top of that, they come a stress ball home and their parents add more anxiety to it, like, well, you're supposed to be doing that. And oh my gosh, well, what are you going to do if you can't even get your homework done? How are you going to have a job? That makes everything worse. So if we have anxiety as their parents, we have to look at, we're the ones with the more greater awareness. We can step back and look at the family system and go, oh my gosh, look at this. Everyone's going crazy. We need to add something into this that's going to reduce everybody's stress and pressure. Maybe that means we have a helper come in and take care of some things. Maybe one of us can reduce our work hours, or we just learn to take better care of ourselves. Because if we add to the teens' anxiety they're just going to have by being a teenager, we're doing them a disservice.
And I think
That's
that's difficult for, like, to your point, right? A lot of parents and maybe even a lot of teens, like I look back on my teenage years, confusion,
oh,
uncertainty, right?
absolutely.
God knew that I was probably very arrogant in my ignorance.
Those two tend to go together.
They do, right? So I guess so what can then parents do to one, remember they were teens at one point as well, and
Mhm.
two, to help their teenage children along the way because I think sometimes parents forget how difficult a time it can be.
Absolutely. Well, one of my second points speaks directly to that, and that to remember that your number one job as a parent is to love your child. That means when they're difficult, you still love them and you can focus on that. Like, they're not trying to be a jerk, they're struggling with something. And your job is to love them when they're difficult, love them when they're crabby, love them when they're sad, love them when they're lazy. And that doesn't mean that you're a doormat and you let everything go. It just means when they feel that you love them, no matter what mood they're in, no matter what they're going through, they get the message from us that they don't have to become something to be loved. They will grow into something. They'll grow skills and they'll grow into an adult, but we can love them right now. And that means that we can just get on the level where they are if they're really struggling rather than making it mean something for me, you know, like, oh, great, I've got a kid who's not getting his homework done. Oh, great. Now how are people going to look at me? Now we automatically sort of think make it about us. We just have to stop that. We have to go, wait, my kid who I love is struggling, get down on their level and just empathize and go, wow, you're really struggling. What's the biggest obstacle in your way and how can I help? We don't have to have all the answers. We tend to show up as the role of parent and we think we're supposed to know everything and have all the answers, and they don't need us to. The teenagers need us to go, oh, sometimes it is really hard. I know that. That's how life is. Let me join you where you are when it's hard because I know it's like that. That gives the message that, oh, they don't have it all figured out either. It's okay to not have it all figured out. And that reduces their anxiety and helps them connect. And the connection is the antidote to all of the problems.
What do you think then are some of the obstacles that parents face when they're trying to connect with their with their teenage children that way,
Mm-hmm.
and to make sure they're not the perfect parent or the parents in the glass box?
Yeah. There are so many obstacles. The first thing I want parents to realize is we're all in this day and age in an impossible situation. Most all of us are in an impossible situation. To give you a comparison, I was raised in the 70s where most of us had a stay-at-home parent full time. It started to change soon after that, but there were a lot of stay-at-home parents. So there was a neighborhood of moms, that were around. And so the statistics say that those stay-at-home parents spent less time with their children than full-time working parents now, because we have been sold that it's all about quality time and we've been doing it to our own exhaustion. So the biggest obstacle is time. We're working all the time, and even the expectations for what a parent needs to do to be involved in their education has ramped up. Add on activities and the parents' involvement and the money and time that goes along with that. We're in an impossible situation, most of us. Okay. So, first of all, knowing that. And second of all, you can stand back and look like that's not doable or mostly healthy. Then we have to become healthier despite it. So, what can we reduce? What can we not spend money on so we have, more time, less money, whatever. What can I reduce so that there's more sanity and less just running, running, running? Because the more we are like that, the more we're adding stress to an already stressful situation. So time is a big one. And the other one is the use of technology. Because these screen machines that we all have now aren't inherently evil. There are a million things that are really good. You can have books on there, a million things, tools that are wonderful. But it's the how we are using them and how children are using them that definitely can become an obstacle. If a parent is completely unaware of how that device is being used, it's becoming far more of an obstacle than they realize. Because the more we are bombarded with quick, entertaining images that are just always there, that can always distract us from whatever stress we have, and then we just shorten our attention span and look at meaningless things, we become used to that and we don't develop a sense of who am I? And that's a major problem. So parents have to be aware, it's not just about reducing screen time, it's about how is it being used, and that you're the parent in the household who needs to set some real boundaries about, is this serving you to grow into a competent, happy, thriving person? If not, it's my job to do something about that. Those are the two biggest obstacles that I see.
Time is such a it's like the ultimate gift, right? Everyone wishes they had more time, especially if they could use it in a very beneficial and positive way. And you look at technology. I spoke to a couple of parents and they would say that they would see other people saying that, okay, son, okay, daughter, I'm going to be away. Here's a tablet. And the tablet is raising them, right?
Yes.
Like, what do you think is maybe causing such an imbalance between the amount of time that young adults spend in front of technology, tablets, TV, computer, otherwise, versus spending it with other family members, their parents, brothers and sisters?
Right. Well, the biggest obstacle is the need for most families to have both people working to provide for all the needs. So they're just very occupied in that That's just not a perfect system, you know. Ideally, a household would have probably a 1.3, one person full time, 1.3, and one or zero point 0.6 and zero point 0.7 or something. There would be more margin built in. So that we have to be really, we have to be as empowered as we can to live beneath our means as much as we can so that we can optimize time together, time to connect. And then if we don't have a lot, we have to set up systems in our home that make it about things that develop a human. Sitting in front of a screen looking at mindless things doesn't develop a human. So if they're being raised by that, unless it's really intelligent podcasts and books and like that kind of thing, even that's still not a human. It's not connection. So that even that alone is not enough. But if it's mindless entertainment and distraction, then this child is not getting a developing sense of self. And a sense of self is the most important thing. And it leads me to another one of my points. Even though our teens are going through school and we want them to do well, we want them to do, you know, be responsible and organized and do well in school and learn all of those things. As a teacher of 17 years, I know that system is not a perfect system. It's just simply not. I won't get into it, but it is not a perfect system, and we cannot rely on that alone. We can try to make sure our children are doing okay and doing well at it, but we have to. What's more important is their sense of self going through that system. Because if they have a class that they absolutely know it's just not their strength, they still have to try, they still have to go, they still have to do the best they can. But if the parent is not seeing deeply who their child is and continues to get angry about it and frustrated about it, and the kid learns, oh, there's something wrong with me, that's flawed, because all of us have strengths and weaknesses. And so the developing sense of self, if that becomes our priority, then we know that our child needs to learn who they are, what they love, what they're great at, what's difficult for them, how to pad those obstacles to get through them, and not have it be seen as a deficit and something wrong with them. So the
What would be
development
the
is a big deal.
Yeah, so I was going to say to that point, because I love that point, because that point, if I look back on my childhood, that was so important to know, reflecting, but I can just imagine how more beneficial it would have been knowing going through with it. And that takes me to my next question would be, what are the benefits to nurturing that identity within the child to the parents and to, of course, the child themselves?
Oh, there's so many. Um, let's just take the social setting. Kids are going to navigate the social realm, which is difficult. That has to be messy. They try on this group of friends and that group of friends, and they pretend to be this that they're actually not. And through all that, they're finding out, what am I really? So it's an important process. But when they are encouraged and valued and allowed to let their special abilities shine, their tendencies really grow, and own the things that they're not interested in, not strong at as much, that person going into a social setting is more equipped to find their people and to not waste a lot of time trying to impress a bunch of people that aren't their people. We don't all have to be besties with every human being. It doesn't work that way. We don't resonate with everybody. So someone who has a strong sense of self can go into a group and go, oh my gosh, I just love that person and I want to build a friendship with them, rather than going in, how do I make everyone like me? The person who goes in with that lack of sense of self, trying to make everyone like them, they can go decades being a chameleon, get to 50 years old and be like, oh my gosh, who am I? And no one wants to start that over at age 50 or 30 or like, it's nice to be building up to it. All of life gets better when that is there. And when it comes to, let's take another example, a job interview. A person with a sense of self knows what they love, what they're good at, how they can serve this organization. If they don't have a sense of self, they'll go in and think, how can I make them think that I'm the right person? They might get the job, but if they get there, it may not be right for them. They'll feel imposter syndrome. They'll go there and feel terrible. Whereas the other one goes into an interview and they'll know this is the one for me, or it's not. and they'll turn down the one that's really not a right fit, so they'll more quickly go to the one that is a right fit. Those are just a couple of examples.